quick slurp of Joe.
Yeah, you gotta get buzzed.
Can you hear me slurp? Listen.
That was a really good slurp. You should definitely slurp recording.
I might slurp in the podcast. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. Okay, I'm gonna start it. Hi everyone, and welcome to this new podcast which we are doing, which is via Hollywood Hogs. So this is through Hollywood Hogs, and it's our new show. And this is your captain speaking, Captain Jamie of Hollywood Hogs, and obviously we have co-founder Jenny here as well.
Yep, I'm on the line. Don't
Yeah.
get it twisted.
Yeah, one of us needs to start talking, so I think it just ended up being me, but Jenny is here and we're both co-hosts of this podcast.
Yeah. It's a game of Russian roulette. Who's gonna speak first?
It's just going to be like us taking turns basically speaking and then responding to one another pretty much.
Yeah, so that's what to expect. But what you don't know is the topic of this podcast, which we've been keeping secret for months. We've had this planned.
It's a big secret. Nobody knows what this is about except us, and it's the first ever podcast where you don't know the topic yet. Even while listening to it, you still don't know what it's about. So it's the first.
It's the first and the last, because this is our only podcast. We have decided it's the season finale as well as
the pilot.
Our first episode. So
yeah, it's the pilot and the finale in one package, and you don't even know what it's about. So a lot of firsts happening here.
That's what happens at Hollywood Hogs. We're Renaissance men and a Renaissance podcast.
So you're welcome with that.
Yeah, you're welcome, and get it through your thick skulls.
Yeah, and we should just set the scene. So I'm sitting at a desk drinking cup of Joe because it is morning. So I woke up not that long. I was probably asleep maybe 90 minutes ago. So I'm drinking my cup of Joe, slurping away at it. And Jenny, what about you?
Well, in Hollywood it is 5:30 p.m. and that is happy hour. So I am having 1 cup and 1 cup only of a nice wine.
Nice. Sort of the opposite drinks. So I'm getting jitters from cup of Joe, as it does to you.
Yeah.
And you're
I'm getting a little loosey-goosey. I'm not gonna lie. 1 cup of wine. Happy hour. It's called happy hour for a reason. I'm happy. It's been a long day. It's 5:30 p.m. Take a load off already.
You deserve it.
And you're getting a load on.
Yeah, I'm getting jittery and hyped up for the rest of the day because it's only morning. So I'm slurping away here. Here's a sneak preview of the cup of Joe.
That's music to my ears.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was basically just me. Yeah, that was basically just me slurping at my cup of Joe, and we should probably get started on this.
Where do we even begin? This is a loaded topic.
Yeah, I think we still haven't even said it.
Yeah.
The moment we say it is like, it's almost like we've rescued the audience from a desert island, and we say we have a shipping container worth of I don't know, Happy Meals and a
solid gold.
Yeah, and solid gold basically. So we're just about to open the doors, and you're about to have your stomachs filled with what you most desperately need. Is that right? Is that accurate?
Yeah. Happy Meals and gold.
I almost don't want to say it, and just.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like these brats are just waiting for us to spoil them with gold and burgers or whatever they want to eat, and maybe we should be a little more secretive, and I don't know.
I mean, why do we even have to share our gold? We should have talked about this. We should have discussed this privately and kept the gold to ourselves, because the number one rule of gold, which everyone knows, is don't give it away for free, and that's what we're about to do.
Maybe we should just hang up this podcast and forget it ever existed.
We could do it, and then we could stop recording and then just discuss this ourselves, which would be the smart thing to do from a business perspective.
Yeah. Somehow, I think somehow for some reason I'm feeling generous.
Really? Well, it's probably because of the wine. So I'm sort of getting jittery and defensive.
It's happy hour. You're ready to work. It's morning. You're having your cup of joe. You're thinking, conservatively.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the hippie over here thinking we should just share our gold.
All right, well, look, I'll trust you this time.
I think after some deliberation, I think we're going to share it.
Yeah, okay. So, all right. So we've discussed it and we will actually proceed, which we did plan to do. So, do you want to say what it is? Since you want to, you can...
Okay, you're right. So, Jamie and I, we are debaters. We are strong-headed. We fight a lot. That's what passionate business people do. And that was a good slurp.
Thanks.
Anyway. Something that's been pissing us off lately, sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree, is genius babies in the media. I'm talking baby Stewie, and I'm talking little baby Jack from Meet the Fockers.
Yeah, the two big ones. So the two biggest babies are little Jack from Meet the Fockers, the grandson, and baby Stewie, who we all know.
Look, Stewie is an evil mastermind. He's always getting into antics. He's a smartass, yet somehow a badass. And if you think about it, little Jack Focker falls under the same category. So these two babies are very similar, and we just can't figure out, basically, if those two babies were to fight, who would win?
Yeah, because you brought up an interesting point then, saying that baby Stewie is smartass and badass, and so is baby little Jack from Meet the Fockers, because most people are either one or the other. So you've got people like Matthew Perry, who is obviously smartass. And who's an example of a badass?
Al Pacino.
Yeah, so I mean, is Al Pacino a smartass? Maybe, but we all know him as a badass. But these two babies are both.
It's kind of like if those two personalities had a baby. Would it be baby Stewie or would it be little Jack Focker? That's kind of the debate here. Who would win? Who's the ultimate smartass, badass? And I'm going to be honest, jackass baby.
I mean, it's one of those things where everyone is sort of wondering about it, but no one talks about it. So that's why we're doing this. So we're sort of saying, let's just finally come to a conclusion on who would win and sort of, discuss it in the process.
It's like, let's stop tiptoeing around what everyone's thinking and let's just get cut to the chase. I'm so sick of being at Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the family holidays. We're all sitting at that dinner table so tense because I know this is what's on our mind, and I'm not looking forward to the 4th of July. Right. But maybe I will, because finally you and I, with this Renaissance podcast, will bring forth what everyone's thinking, and people will finally start talking about something that matters. Is it baby Stewie or is it little Jack Focker? And
look, I predict that we split our audience 50-50. I mean, once we reach the end of this show and we come to a conclusion on who would win, I mean, our audience is going to be split 50-50. I mean, let's see just really quickly how many followers our Twitter account has.
I'm thinking it's like about 5,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost, yeah, pretty much almost there, 5,000. So we're going to be splitting those people.
2,500 to 2,500.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? That's just the way it is. I don't know what to say about that. It's just what's going to happen.
Honestly, we have like a pretty modest following, 5,000. Like, we need more followers.
Yeah, but I think once we reach a conclusion, maybe they won't be split because they'll trust us in
I
our
think we're gonna
opinion
have
and they'll
more
say,
followers. Yeah. And they're gonna all of our followers are gonna be 100% on board with us.
yeah. They'll say,
Um,
yes, ma'am.
yep. I'm pretty sure that people will be agreeing with everything we are about to say. So, I mean,
Like they always do.
yeah, I mean, why else would we be where we are now, so successful? Um,
Exactly.
and I think, speaking of success, I think that's a good point to start with this debate is, when I mean, are they ever going to grow up? And if they do, who would be more successful? I mean, baby Stewie is a mastermind. If
Mm.
you Google baby Stewie and you want, like, say, baby Stewie banana, here he is, pictures of him eating it. Like, what I'm trying to get, what I'm trying to get at is if you Google baby Stewie, if you Google baby Stewie, a picture of him and anything will show up. The problem with little Jack Fokker and his success is there's just one picture of him that shows up, and it's him saying asshole.
Yeah, let me look that up. Little Jack. Yeah, so there he is in his crib and he's saying his catchphrase of asshole to Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, and this is something I wanted to bring up, that an important thing to remember is one of these babies is a real baby and one is a cartoon. So you're gonna have more opportunities with Stewie because he can do anything since he's drawn. So Seth MacFarlane can just draw him doing anything he pleases. But with
Yeah.
this little Jack, it's this one movie and they can only do so much.
Yeah, like baby Stewie can defy gravity. He can shapeshift.
He can do anything if because you can draw anything on a piece of paper.
Yeah. But I mean, like, the thing is, when you are Robert De Niro's grandson, it kind of feels like anything's possible.
That's true. I mean, if you remember anything about Meet the Fockers, Jack Burns, played by Robert De Niro, is ex-CIA. I mean, that is who Baby Jack is learning from. And who is Baby Stewie learning from? I mean, frankly, a bunch of idiots. Have you seen the show?
Yeah. It's like baby Stewie has no one to gain from. There's
Yeah,
no De Niro grandpa in that show. It's Peter. Peter the dork.
mm,
You
yeah.
know?
And then the dog. I mean,
And the dog.
so it's like who is their mentor? So Stewie doesn't have a mentor, and if you consider his family, the Family Guy family, to be his mentor, well then he's way behind. But little Jack is learning from ex-CIA Jack Burns. So
Jack.
and Jack Burns is teaching him everything he knows. He's teaching him sign language. He's teaching him all sorts of things. He's turning
How do
him
you
into a
lie
little
detector?
genius. What was that?
A lie detector. He probably is going to teach or has already taught that baby how to use a lie detector, which is
Yeah.
very impressive. Seeing through someone's lies is the same as defying gravity, which baby Stewie can do. Um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
seeing through a lie is lies speak a million words to me. So
It's true. Lies do speak a million words, and uh, Robert De Niro, Jack Burns. Yeah, I mean the next logical step with teaching little Jack is to turn him into a lie detector because that machine he's got is probably very old, especially at this point since the movie came out so long ago. So he's gonna teach little Jack how to detect lies, and that is gonna be a huge advantage that he's going to have when he goes up against baby Stewie.
Yeah, human lie detector is that's basically a superpower. I mean, whoa.
That's what Jack Burns does in the movie, where he's saying I'm watching you, fucker, and he's doing the hand motion from his eyes to Ben Stiller's eyes. That's him saying I can see through the lies.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, to see through lies, I don't know, that's a power that can get you extremely far in life and so much power. I mean, baby Stewie, yeah, he can build a jet plane or whatever, a rocket ship, but can he detect lies? Will that really get him that far, or is it only going to isolate him further and keep him further from his success? Because he obviously has zero social skills.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, Stewie. I mean, adults can't hear what Stewie has to say, and we saw in Meet the Fockers, little Jack successfully communicates, and the words he say are very powerful. And I'm talking asshole.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So let's just let that simmer for a second. I mean, really think about that because baby Stewie, from what I remember from the show, he can't communicate with the adults. He can communicate in his world, but when he tries to communicate with, for example, his mum, she just hears a crying baby.
Mm-hmm.
But with little Jack Fokker, he is using sign language and he's saying asshole over and over.
Yeah.
Like he's got such a bigger, higher advantage. You know what I mean?
I'm I'm feeling it right now. I thought definitely I'd be leaning towards Stewie because he could literally do anything. But as we like kind of just hash through this right now, I am feeling more and more like Lil Jack Fokker. I don't know.
I know it's weird, isn't it?
It's so weird. It's such a weird sensation to completely change my opinion after just talking about it because, like, I feel like on Family Guy, it's just a portrayal of what Stewie thinks within his imagination, and we get to see his imagination. But then the minute he talks to his mom, it's goo goo gaga.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So, it's fiction. It's in his head, and with McFarlane, the genius that he is, I would love to see him write for little Jack Fokker.
Yeah, that
And
would be
that
amazing.
would be the best of both worlds. The show could just be called Little Jack Fokker. And I would love to see where McFarlane could take a baby that could actually talk and communicate with the real world, because right now we're just seeing a little fantasy land with Stewie.
Exactly, exactly. And the other thing to think about with this fight, so the moment they go up against each other, we need to sort out what location they're in because, I
Yeah.
mean, is Stewie going over to Little Jack's world or is Little Jack going over to Stewie's world? Because I think it would
Whoa.
be easier to execute the fight if the cartoon one was put into the real world. I think it would be harder to put the real life human into the cartoon world of Family Guy.
I think, just like the playoffs, and the big sports, all those big sports games, you have to do two home games and then a third game. I don't know if this is how sports truly works, but I know that, you play one game in your home and then they can play one game, one fight in their other home.
Right.
The third fight would have to be in some alternate reality, maybe a 3D world of some sort. I'm thinking like, what's a 3D cartoon? Like Jimmy Neutron or something.
Yeah, yeah. Or that episode of The Simpsons where Homer goes into that sort of 3D world. So maybe
Yeah,
that should be yeah, so you're saying there should be three rounds to this fight.
yeah,
One is in basically Jack Burns' house where the crib is,
yeah.
where he says asshole, all of that stuff.
They can just fight inside the crib.
Yeah, yeah, well that would be perfect since they're
Yeah.
both babies. If it's big enough, we can see about that.
Not like a wrestling match. And also, how big is baby? I'm gonna Google this. How big is baby Stewie? He could be a couple
That's true.
centimeters.
That's a good point. I mean,
How big is
I've got a
Stewie?
couple of images here side by side, but I mean, I've I've altered the size of those images, so it's not really accurate.
I thought there would be a wiki page that said how tall he is. I'm not seeing anything, but so I guess maybe he's probably the size of an average baby, maybe a little bigger, because I mean he has the big head.
Yeah, I mean, looking at these images, his body seems shorter than little Jack's, but his head is obviously longer, so it probably works out.
Yeah, he could do some good fight moves with his head if we're talking physical fight. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
so he's shorter, but his head is wider. Little Jack
yeah.
is taller, but his head is normal size. But if you were
He's
to
the
weigh them both, they'd probably weigh the same.
Little Jack is a perfectly proportionate baby, and that could or could not be a problem in this fight. Uh, Baby Stewie's flat as a pancake. I'm imagining right now that little Jack will just fold him up into the shape of an envelope and mail him off to, I don't know,
England.
England. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
far.
that could happen. It is far as well. Um,
Maybe Timbuktu.
maybe, maybe. I mean, the other thing I wanted to bring up is that it sort of comes back to what we're talking about with the language sort of talking
Hmm.
situation, because I think little Jack is in um, a position of power because he can say asshole, right? He can, and he says it constantly in the movie. He says asshole to Ben Stiller,
Yeah,
and then to the rest of the family. But he, st- he can't understand Stewie's insults.
no.
So little Jack is saying asshole, and and
Mhm.
and that is entering Stewie's mind. So baby Stewie is thinking he's calling me an asshole,
Yeah,
but
he
it
understands.
doesn't work the other way, because
No.
asshole is the only word, English word, little Jack knows. So when Stewie is bombarding him with, because you'd
Yeah,
think that Stewie's vile language and
yeah.
vocabulary, you'd think that's an advantage, but he can say every word he knows, but little Jack isn't going to understand any of it. Not even asshole, probably.
It's just going to be a bunch of jib jab, and
Yeah.
while little Jack saying asshole, 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 that's gonna sting. That's gonna hurt Stewie where it stings the most, right in the heart.
Yeah, well, it's
You
going to
know?
be like talking to a brick wall for Stewie.
Yeah.
And that's
He's
gonna
gonna
that's gonna infuriate him and make his anger level increase, which is gonna result in him losing control and little Jack in result gaining control.
that's extremely true. I think that little Jack kind of has the upper hand in the ring.
I think he
Um,
does.
and intellectually, I think that little Jack is an intellectual. I think Stewie's a hothead. I think that's why people say he has a big head because he's a genius. He can build a rocket ship or whatever he does, goo goo. But then it's just goo goo gaga to all the adults. Where
Mm.
little Jack, you could tell he hurt Ben Stiller's feelings in the movie, and I can only imagine how that would be in the fighting rink while he's just saying asshole, asshole, asshole to baby Stewie nonstop.
Yeah, I mean that is gonna infuriate baby Stewie.
Oh yeah. But I mean, that might give him, the
The fire
fire
he
he
needs.
needs to fight.
Mm.
But little Jack, he might be so cool about it. He's gonna just, suck his thumb and take a nap. And baby Stewie, he's so light. He probably in the real world, baby Stewie will probably be the weight of a sheet of paper, but in the cartoon world, I'd say that they would be the same weight. So that's kind of where it gets a little weird, you know.
Yeah, so if Stewie is lighter, is if Stewie is lighter in Little Jack's world, does that mean that Little Jack is heavier in Stewie's world?
These are the questions that we need to be asking, and it's what everyone I just feel like that's why everyone is so tense all the time because we're just like we don't understand, and I think that we're about to get to the bottom of it. I
Yeah,
think
no one's talking about it.
nobody. It's like, are you kidding me? Am I the only are we the only ones brave enough to to address this because it's burning my brain. Like I just feel I have headaches constantly because of this.
Right. I know what you mean. I mean, maybe like back in the 70s when nobody had internet. I mean, even the 60s nobody had
Yeah.
internet, and even before then, like no one had internet. But in
Yeah.
this age that we're living in where we have the internet, you'd think that more people would be communicating about this to each other, and yet no one is. I mean, it's just crazy.
It's mind-boggling. I would understand why nobody would talk about this in the 60s or 70s, but come on, people. What year is it? 2018? I mean, we got to be talking about this. This is so I think when baby Jack, I'm going to just say it. I think when baby Jack goes into Stewie's world, into the just 2D world, I think that he flattens like a pancake.
Oh, really?
I think he flattens like a pancake, and I think that he may not be physically strong, but he can say asshole still. And but I think I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when he goes into the cartoon world, he can now understand what baby Stewie is saying.
Wow, really? Do you think so?
That's a controversial, but I think so. Which I could be wrong though, because I only think so because I think in the cartoon world, babies can talk to each other just fine. But in the real world, we hear goo goo gaga or asshole, asshole, asshole. So I think in the cartoon world, we get an insight on what babies can say to each other, just like in the Rugrats. That's where I get my theory is that on Rugrats, the babies can talk to each other.
Ah, I see what you're saying. Okay. So you think when these two get together, suddenly more possibilities are going to open up?
Only in the cartoon world. I think in the real world,
There's going to be
think
problems.
it's a problem. Yeah.
I
But
mean, I hate to say it, but this is all starting to turn into speculation. I mean, when we started
I,
this and when we were sort of thinking about this before we started recording, I was pretty sure of everything I was about to say, like
true.
as if everything I was about to say was fact. But now
Yeah.
it's like almost speculation, and I hate to say it,
Right.
but the only person who can really uh, nail this down for us is Seth MacFarlane himself and the creators of Meet the Fockers. I mean, what they need to do, which they're not, they need to get together and create this fight.
I think that the solution and the conclusion of this is that Seth MacFarlane and the creators of Meet the Focker, yeah, I think they need to make a podcast. We're doing God's work for the gods. It's like, why don't the gods just do this work for us, you know?
They're the
We
gods.
we're so busy. We have a hog empire. We got off our hogs. We got on our phones. We called each other up and we said we need to solve this problem. And then we're here realizing there's no way of solving it. We're only going to speculate. We need to petition for MacFarlane and every writer, whoever created Meet the Fockers. We need them to get together and make this podcast because we're doing the work for them, and it's, we can only go so far.
Yeah, I mean, they either need to do a podcast, they can do one of two things, I mean, or both, but they need to do at least one of two things. They either need to, and this is Seth MacFarlane. Let's just look up so we can talk directly to them, just the creators of Meet the Fockers, because I'm blanking on those details. Story by screenplay by Jim Hertzfeld and John. Okay, so John and Jim basically. Jim Hertzfeld and John Hamburg and Seth MacFarlane. The three of them need to get together and do one of two things. They need to either do a podcast like we're doing now, take notes on how to do a podcast firstly from this show, and they need to discuss the logistics and the rules and the science of the worlds and the science of the babies themselves and work out how that fight would end. Or they need to actually execute it on a screen. So they need to make it. They need to get together with their editors and everyone that's involved in the show and the movie, and they need to actually make the fight and either put it up on Netflix or YouTube or even in the movie theaters.
Honestly, I'd love to see this in a movie, and I think, honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. Seth, Jim, and Jack, if you're listening to this and you go through with that idea,
John.
I'm expecting money.
Jim and
John,
John.
Jim, John, and Seth. I'm expecting a big fat paycheck because we just wrote a movie for you. And frankly, there were genius ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me so angry that these people in Hollywood, and I love Hollywood, obviously, we both do,
Yeah.
okay?
But
Our whole empire is based in Hollywood.
yeah.
So I'm not saying anything bad about
No.
Hollywood or the people in it because everyone in Hollywood is, on our
I mean,
side.
they're on our side, but there's the Hollywood scum rats.
Mm. And part of those rats, I hate to say it, are Seth, Jim, and Mark. And we love you. That's the thing. We love
Yeah.
you, but it's a love-hate relationship because you are sitting there in your houses right now, probably drinking wine like you are since it's
They're
Hollywood
sitting,
time.
they're sitting on a fat sack of cash is what they're sitting on.
Yeah, and they've lost motivation because they're all rich now because they're spending their Meet the Fockers money, they're spending their Family Guy money, and their heads are in the clouds, and they're not thinking this is what we need to do.
Sitting on their high horse, sitting on their fat sack of cash, yet somehow they are not doing the work that everybody wants them to do. And it's lazy, it's pathetic, and frankly, I really hope they listen to this and take some notes and, give people what they want.
Yeah, because we're all one. It just needs to be answered. It's just one of those things that needs to be answered. It's like,
Yeah.
is evolution what happened, or is what happened in the Bible what happened? It's like one day someone's gonna click their fingers and say, "Hey, I worked it out, and this is what happened." And that's what Seth MacFarlane, Jim, and John need to do with this.
Jim, John, and Seth. Get your act together. This is messed up. This is what everyone's been thinking for how many years? Ever since Meet the Fockers came out. We've been all thinking it, and it's just pathetic.
Yeah, Meet the Fockers came out in 2004. When did Family Guy come out?
Earlier.
I'm just looking for a date.
1999.
1999, okay. Either way, get together, find out each other's emails, just communicate, just start talking about it, at least.
Simple. Please just get your crap together, and I think that's the solution to this podcast. I mean, I think we both have a leaning towards smartass Lil Jack, but Stewie has a chance, and it really depends, I think, on what are his capabilities in the real world versus the cartoon world. And I think that they're going to have to sit down with the genius Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson. That man, he knows his science.
He needs to be consulted about this. So it needs to be Seth, Jim, John, and Neil as well.
Maybe a magician, because I feel like Neil is so Mr. Realism, Mr. like if it isn't science, it's not real. I think we need a magician on board. David Copperfield. So I think just so he can explain the capabilities. David Blaine might be better.
Yeah.
I think, just to explain the capabilities of what Stewie can do in the real world, because obviously Neil deGrasse Tyson is not going to believe in Stewie's ray gun, and he's not going to believe Stewie can do anything. But I think
Neil probably will have more to say about Little Jack, but yes, somebody else needs to be there for Stewie.
David Blaine is Team Stewie because he sees the potential in that little baby and the magic that he can do.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, who else needs to be involved is the Simpsons people, because they did that episode where the two things were brought together, because Homer went into the 3D world and then he went into the real world at the end. So we need to get Matt Groening and
Yeah.
James L. Brooks and all those people need to be
Mhm.
involved. So,
Yeah.
what needs to happen? Let's just recap. What needs to happen is there needs to be Jim and John from Meet the Fockers, Seth
Jim
MacFarlane,
Jones. Mhm.
Neil, scientist.
Mhm.
Who was the magician you said?
David Blaine.
David Blaine. And the Simpsons guys, James L. Brooks and Sam Simon, at least just two of the three need to be involved. So those people need to have a sit down, round table discussion and just sort of smash this thing out.
Exactly. They need to smash this out. And I kept saying David Blaine, but I'm just realizing I was talking about Chris Angel.
Oh, you
So
were thinking of Chris Angel.
yeah, I mean
Oh,
David
yeah,
Blaine
even
is
better.
really epic, but I think Chris Angel. I have Chris Angel on my mind because he made Shaquille O'Neal levitate, and I think that reminds me so much of Baby Stewie.
Right. I
So
didn't realize that was Chris Angel.
yeah, Chris Angel made Shaquille O'Neal levitate on a celebrity TV show. So I think Chris needs to definitely be involved because he might honestly when baby Stewie grows up, I think he's gonna be a lot like Chris Angel. If not, baby Stewie might have been imagined by Seth MacFarlane. Seth MacFarlane was probably meditating on this and was probably like, what would Chris Angel be like as a baby?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that when MacFarlane created Stewie, he was like, who's the biggest genius of our time? And he probably thought Chris Angel, and then he just modified Chris into a baby, and that's what he created.
That is a really interesting point, and I'm actually looking at um, photos of Chris Angel, and his
Yeah.
face almost looks like a grown-up version of Baby Stewie. I mean, if you really look, like if you squint at it, if you squint at
Yeah.
Chris Angel's face, it kind of looks like Baby Stewie.
It looks exactly like Baby Stewie when you squint. And I think that's exactly, I'm pretty sure MacFarlane, what he did when he was creating Family Guy, he looked at a picture of Chris, he squinted his eyes, and he said, that's my baby.
Mm-hmm. He
That's my
probably did
baby.
say that.
You
And
know?
yeah, and Baby Jack is obviously little Jack is clearly, if you've seen the movie, a mini version of Robert De Niro. I mean, that's how he's going to turn out
Fitting. Fitting
because
image.
Jack Burns is teaching him basically how to be Jack Burns. So he's going to
Exactly.
grow up to be Jack Burns, and Jack Burns is Robert De Niro. So we need to get Chris Angel and Robert De Niro in this round table as well.
I think we have the perfect round table. I'm imagining a writer's room in heaven.
Mm.
I think we should like Photoshop an image of Chris, De Niro, Stewie, Little Jack, Jack and John, and MacFarlane, and just kind of visualize that. And I think we just created the writer's table that everybody's always wanted to see.
Yeah, the writer's table from heaven. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's do that. We'll have that for this.
Yeah.
If you look on the screen right now, because this is going to be on YouTube, so if you look at the
Yeah.
screen right now, you should be seeing that roundtable discussion. And I don't know, screenshot it and get it to Seth MacFarlane. What we need to do is we need to get our Hollywood Hog followers, and I'm not even talking about Twitter followers. I'm just talking about the people who follow us as people, the Hollywood Hog followers. They need to get these images and take these ideas that we're saying and get them to these people. I mean, tweet them. Seth MacFarlane is on Twitter. Tweet him.
Snail mail.
It's simple.
Send it in the snail mail. It's honestly so easy, and if the Hog Army gets together and just does this, I think MacFarlane, I think Angel, I think Jack and John, I think they'll all be on board.
Yeah, I mean, how could they not?
No, there's no way.
I mean, what they're gonna say is finally.
Yeah.
They're gonna say finally.
That's perfectly. It's that one word. Finally. That's all.
Yeah. Finally.
Finally.
I mean, they've been waiting since 2004.
Yeah. That's such a powerful word. Finally.
Let's have in the image, let's have speech bubbles of all the guys saying finally.
Finally. It's so beautiful. I love that.
Let's just have a moment of silence for that. Well, there you go.
Wow.
That was really nice.
I feel so at peace.
It was almost like a meditation.
Yeah.
I just kept repeating finally in my head.
And I was imagining all their faces.
Mm.
I think that this will put an end to so many people's like just suffering when it comes to just wondering. You know, is it Stewie? Is it little Jack? Is it Stewie? Is it little Jack? That's all that happens. You know, when my brain goes on default mode, that's when I'm wondering, and it's I'm not. You know, I'm not God, and that's why I say I think that they're gonna do God's work. You know, we can only do so much. We can discuss this. We can get some dialogue open, but I think, you know, I think these people need to get together and do some talking and hashing it out because in the end, they're the ones that are in charge.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you know who needs to be at the head of the table?
Mm-hmm.
One end of the table, and we can add this to the image, one head of
Yeah.
the table needs to be, because this table I'm thinking of is like an oval shape, and
Yeah.
a long oval, so one
Yeah.
end of the oval should be little Jack, and one end of the oval should be baby Stewie.
I think so. There's gonna be some interesting tension going on. Those two babies are just gonna be staring at each other, just ready to fight. But you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. And luckily there's
it's
going to be like 10 people in between them
yeah.
to stop any sort of physical altercation because they
You
need to
know,
wait.
I'm gonna throw something out here right now.
Yeah.
Mine might be blown, but this is reminding me of a little movie by the name of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Like baby Stewie and little Jack are just smoking these huge cigars right now. Like they're actually adult men.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about the Roger Rabbit version. We're talking about them in the movies, their characters.
Mm.
So that's something to consider, and that's why it's in God's hands. That's why it's in Seth MacFarlane's and Jim and John's hands.
Yep.
They're like God to those characters.
Yeah, and the thing is, just like God himself, it's not even a lot of work. Like, all they need to do is wave their magic wand, like God
Yep.
does, and just say,
Yep.
bam, here's what you've been waiting for. That's the system that God works by. He just says, bam, here you go. And that's what they need to do. It's not even that much work.
It's simple, and it's gonna really put them in their place. They're gonna really calm down because they know that any minute, if they say something wrong, if they try, if they give someone a bad look, the writer's just gonna write, baby Stewie suddenly has a tummy ache and he's gonna feel sick because they can do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's how it works.
I mean, same
It's
with
like
little Jack.
Stranger Than Fiction.
Mm.
It's just like that.
I mean, we should mention that little Jack was also drunk.
Yeah. He can handle his liquor. Last time I checked, Goo Goo Gaga Stewie drinks milk.
Just like a little baby.
Yeah, just like a little baby.
Yeah, but little Jack is he can handle his liquor, and I mean, can you even think of any other baby who gets drunk and can handle themselves?
No.
Nope.
Belligerent, most babies.
Yeah. The hardest part of the round table is probably just going to be the scheduling. So I understand if it takes them a while to sort of actually physically get all of them into the room, but after that, it shouldn't take them that long.
No, it should be a one-day situation. I'm just going to throw out a day, and I'm just going to tell them to all clear the schedule. I'm going to say June 10th.
June 10th, okay.
Done.
So Seth, Jim, John, Neil, all the rest, Chris, everyone, clear your schedule for June 10, and we expect by June 11 you've made something.
And get back to us. We'd like to see what you have, and we're expecting a fat check. We all know you're sitting on your fat wads of cash and your high horses, and it's about time you share that with us. Give us a little chunk.
Yeah, because we've put in most of the work here.
Yeah, we've hashed out most of the logistics. We need a physician, we need not a physician, a physicist, or whatever the hell Neil deGrasse type, some type of scientist. We need a magician, and we need the writers who know, what's appropriate.
The creative minds.
The creators, yeah, the creative mind. We need that because it got to the point of speculation, and that's where the gods come in.
And Robert De Niro.
And De Niro and that voice, it says it all,
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of crazy because when we first started recording, I really thought the conclusion was going to be who was going to win in the fight, but we actually we sort of went off on a different path and realized that we can't decide. And I think we're big enough to admit that we can't decide who wins. It needs to be the creators of the characters.
Yeah. I think that takes a big level of just being humble.
Yeah.
We know we're godlike. We know we are CEOs, which is so close. But we're not gods. We are not the creators.
We can only speculate, and even though our speculations are above the average kind of person's, we still can't make a final decision. It needs to be Seth MacFarlane. It needs to be Jim and John, and that's why we're saying roundtable discussion, and that's basically the conclusion of this episode.
Yep. Conclusion. Main point is that we have a leaning towards Little Jack. However, we can't say for sure until we get this roundtable discussion. And we have I think this could be a big event. I think that this Renaissance podcast might be the first podcast to turn into a movie.
Yeah, that's incredible. I don't think that's ever happened. I mean, I've seen podcasts turn into TV shows, but I've never seen a podcast turn into a movie. So that's yet another first.
It's kind of like a War of the Worlds, but that wasn't a podcast. That was a radio show. And
very different.
This is, I think what we just began was something that could be on the big screen, in the movies.
Yeah. And I'm just glad that I don't need to walk on eggshells anymore.
Tiptoeing around what everyone's thinking just made me I just feel so exhausted all the time. Like I mentioned before, headaches.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. It's like ever since 2004 when the Meet the Fockers came out, it's like I've just been feeling like I've been walking on eggshells, and I can barely take a step without, you know what I mean? But now that we've gotten this all out there and we've put it up online and we've gotten people talking about it, it's like it's almost like what they're going to say at their round table. It's like finally.
I think that's a great conclusion, finally.
I mean, what else needs to be said? I don't even know what else to say.
I think almost perfectly in an hour have discussed exactly what we needed to discuss, and we went places we didn't know we were going to go. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and all I have to say is finally.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of to say as well, is just finally.
Wow. Well, I hope that our fans can understand that it's not a simple conclusion to come to, and I think that rather they have something very exciting to anticipate on June 10th.
Yep. June 10th. So everyone clear your calendars. It doesn't just have to be the round table members. Everyone needs to clear their calendars because June 10th is going to be a huge day because we're going to finally it's almost going to be like God coming back to earth.
Yeah. There's a big theme of God because, writers are creators. Writers are gods to these characters, and we're about to see them all come together and make something that we've all been waiting for, and for them to get off their lazy asses, off their high horses and their fat wads of cashes, and actually make something that the people need.
Yeah, all of them need to step down off their high horse for I don't know. I mean, our podcast has been going for 52 minutes. So at least 52 minutes. Get down off your high horse, all of you, and just discuss it.
Yep. Enough said.
Enough said.
I think that's a good, yeah.
Is that the end?
Yeah, I think we've concluded. Enough said.
Enough has been said. From us.
Yeah, from us. Let's hear from McFarlane for once. He has a fat mouth. He'll say something.
Yeah, so we're sort of passing the torch now from the end of this podcast to the beginning of their roundtable discussion. So yeah, thanks for listening, everyone, and share this around as much as you can. I mean, I don't know what websites. Twitter.
Twitter.
Just any website you use, basically, just copy and paste the link. It isn't that hard.
Don't even think about sharing this on Facebook.
Yeah, no Facebook.
Don't even get us started about Zuckerberg right now. I'm in a good mood. I keep saying finally, calming me down. But the minute that Zuckerberg comes in my head, I want to hurl.
Yeah, my temper starts increasing, and I imagine yours is as well. But I don't want to get into Zuckerberg right now.
No, that's for another day.
I mean, that could be a whole other podcast, honestly, just Zuckerberg himself.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, no Facebook sharing of the link. You can only share the link on websites that aren't Facebook. So share it around on YouTube, share it around on Twitter, share it around on our website. Because as everyone knows, our website is the newest kind of social media. So share it around on our website. TheHollywoodHogs.com.
HollywoodHogs.com. Enough said.
So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening, everyone. And
thank you.
And you're welcome, like we said earlier.
Welcome. Yeah, why are we thanking them? More like you're welcome.
Yeah, and yeah, I take back my thank you. They should be thanking us.
I thank you.
I thank you though, Jenny, because we're the only two people brave enough to bring this up.
Yeah, thank you for being brave, Jamie.
Thank you, my co-founder.
And thank us to whoever's listening. Thank us.
Yeah.
Okay.
We expect to see thank yous in the comments of the video on YouTube.
Yep. Well, I would say until next time, but this is our first and last podcast, so...
Yeah, this is the finale episode.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
All right.
And send this to Seth and Robert De Niro.
Yep. Adios.
See you later.